Well, you're listening to another episode of the Zealous Podcast. I'm your host, Rocky Snyder, and with me this week, I've got Brian Nguyen. And Brian, well, we go back several years now. He's been presenting for Perform Better for, close to 10 years. And he will be presenting this year as well. In fact, that by the time this airs, you'll have missed his presentation in Orlando and Chicago, but don't fret if you show up in August in Providence, Rhode Island for the last summit of the season. You will get a chance to meet him there. He's going to talk about a whole bunch of cool stuff as it relates to his experience working with the Jacksonville Jaguars and working with a whole bunch of celebrities in Southern California, which is where he's headquartered out of. We're just going to jump right in. Don't forget to subscribe to this show, and I hope you enjoy. So, wait, how long have you been doing this? I mean, athletic training, are you licensed or a doctor of physical therapy too?
No, I just the athletic training.
Athletic training and sports conditioning.
Athletic training, strength conditioning, yeah, SFMA, that world, big into, movement stuff like you.
Yeah.
Movement
When did that
culture,
begin?
baby. Well, for me personally, it started in high school when I was trying to, I guess, break the mold of being 4'11". I was trying to do all these training things to get ahead, whether it was, jump training with those jump sole shoes or, trying to do extra credit miles to get faster. I wanted to be an athlete despite my small stature. I wanted to, kind of slap in the face of everybody saying that, oh, you're a little guy, how, I mean, come on, you know how that is.
I have a feeling. I do.
I don't know. Some call it Mighty Mike syndrome. Some call it Napoleon syndrome. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's true. Yeah, I got a little chip on my shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think we're living parallel lives. High school was it too. I mean, yeah. If you tell me I can't do something, that's the surest way to get me to do it. So, what were your sports? What did you go for?
Tell me basketball and volleyball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basketball, volleyball.
What's your outside shot like? Because I know we're not dunking, so you must have a killer outside shot.
It's not bad. I definitely over the past the latter stage of basketball career of my life, I was much better. These are the days when I would actually play basketball to train with Mark Wahlberg. He had this complete court. I mean, he still does, as a complete basketball court, outside the gym. And so we do it for conditioning. And he'd joke around. He'd say, "Man, you're the shittiest fucking professional basketball player I've ever been around." And it was funny because you're a professional, right? I'm like, I am getting paid to play basketball. I am professional. So
truly.
So yeah, he would joke around, but yeah, playing against him, you don't go in the lane very much. Otherwise, you're gonna get the shit kicked out of yourself by someone from Dorchester, Boston. So
is he from Dorchester? He's a townie, huh? Dorchester, Charlestown?
He's a townie. Yeah, he's one of those. That's the reason why.
Does he have a shamrock tattoo on his shoulder like everybody else from that area?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I grew up there. I grew up on the north end of Boston, where just north suburbs. But I would spend my summers on the coast of New Hampshire, in this little beach town, similar to where I'm in Santa Cruz here, but called Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. And in the summertime, all the kids from Boston, at least some areas, especially Dorchester and Charlestown, we call them townies, and Dorchester.
Yeah.
And they would come up and they would be those would be the guys that I run with. And I swear they're either going to end up as priests or convicts. There was no in between. These guys were rough and tumble. And so there you go. So Mark ends up as an actor. Who would have thought? But so I guess let's talk about that, because you're down in Torrance and Redondo Beach. Torrance, of course, Louis Zamperini, his stomping grounds from the 1936 Olympics and all that. I've gone through Zamperini Highway, that stretch on more than one occasion. But that must be something that kind of just started up with you, right? You've been in for this for a while with conditioning, but in terms of getting those high profile clients, it wasn't like you were seeking them out. I can't imagine you doing that. It just kind of happened. Was that true?
I mean, for sure, Rocky. It's exactly what I talk about, with a lot of the coaches, whether it's Perform Better or Idea or NASM. I think what I end up talking about is, how does the career actually unfold? How does it blossom? And for me, it was absolutely doing what you do best, was just bringing your grit and, making people around you thrive. I think, it's one of the things that, most coaches share, I think, a gift of, is like to help others thrive. And, along the way, it just so happened that, I was at the right place at the right time, I guess is the way I'd say it. I was an athletic trainer for the Arena Football League in LA. And the very first movie that came around was The Longest Yard. And they were a football movie, and they needed a professional football athletic trainer to take care of their athletes on the field. And then that also shared the responsibility of the athletes, the actors that were playing the athletes. And so I got a chance to work with Adam Sandler, and we became closer in that movie. And although that was such a star-studded movie, so I started to get to know Terry Crews. I mean, Bill Fichtner, all those wrestlers. I mean, come on, the football players, Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah, all those guys.
Yeah,
So it was a fun time. Yeah,
that's very cool. And then just
so that, yeah,
opened the
that
doors
just
for more.
blossomed. It just blossomed from the athletic training into more movies that were coming around. So I now had relationships and contacts in the industry. And so, I put feelers out there. I said, hey, if you ever do another sports movie, please think of me. And sure enough, they did. It's just the power of putting your name out there and saying, hey, if you ever need another hand again, please let me know. And hopefully you did the right thing and you left a good impression. And, and they come knocking at your door again. And just so the movie Invincible came around. And that's when I made that impression on, for Mark. And, he asked me if I'd be in his part of his traveling crew, his entourage. And that was a fun time.
Entourage.
Yeah, I've been on, I've been in the real one, and I've been in the show a couple of times. So yeah,
okay. What were you?
I get to say.
What were you in the movie or in the show? That is not the movie, but the show.
Oh, so I mean, like it's that scene where Mark is playing golf with Tom Brady.
Uh-huh.
Just look very closely at the people around, and you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool, right? I think that's what a lot of young trainers think about. It's like, oh, that would be so cool. That'd be epic. In Santa Cruz here, we're so far away from Hollywood. Time to time, some movie crews come through and they shoot some films here. And there was, brushes with some Hollywood folks from time to time, but not like down in La La Land. But I got to say that isn't, I got to imagine, just knowing you in the short time that I do and seeing you present and perform better over the years, that's not what drives you though.
No. Like, it is, it is absolutely this saying that rings in my head. Masters aren't the ones with the most followers. Masters are the ones who create the most masters. And when I think about that word mastery and what it is I do, I got chills when Martin Rooney came out and, he said, what is this movie about? And he showed the picture of Mr. Miyagi. And, people were saying, oh, it's about, perseverance and overcoming adversity. And he goes, no, this movie is about having a coach. The end scene is Mr. Miyagi's like doing this little nod of approval. Mr. Miyagi, we did it. And it's this inherent idea that, all of us want a coach, want someone to help us. And guys, we all need that in our lives, that form of connection. We look to be that. And I think it's true, what we endeavor to give to others is so much what we need ourselves. I'm a sucker for needing love. I'm a sucker for wanting to, have someone say, man, that was awesome. I love you. Thank you so much for helping me see that side. But I thrive off it so much that, I want to continue to do that. And so, doing these speaking gigs now, and whether it's, whatever, it's cool to speak about soul. And I think that in this industry, we're so caught up with the X's and Y's, with physical stuff, that we forget that we're human, and we forget that we all have a heart, we all have lives, and That's stuff that we got to pay attention to if we really want to be someone's coach, right?
Yeah. Okay. On this road to mastery, there's so many avenues that we
Mhm.
all select, and different concepts of movements and rehab, whatever the case may be, nutrition. What are your paths? What have your paths been over the course of your career now? Where did you start to travel and explore? You already mentioned SFMA and the FMS system. Um,
Mhm.
we could talk about that too, but what other
Yeah.
avenues?
I mean, it's, I mean, it's super important that, uh, I mean, if you, for anybody that knows and follows me, my career as an athletic trainer, was super, like a lot of cool stuff. I worked in the NFL, was the youngest, athletic trainer in the NFL for a little bit. And I had a great time doing it.
With the Jaguars?
I with the Jaguars, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was such a chip on my shoulder to be that guy, right? To be the athletic trainer, calling the other assistants I used to work with, or the other student athletic trainers at UCLA I used to work with, and say, talk to them how my NFL career is going. And all of that came to I could spine board somebody backwards, and I mean blindfolded. And yeah, I've done it so many times, but then to actually be in that situation, where all of a sudden now I'm spine boarding a player that's not breathing. And in 2005, one of our football players, Al Lucas, fractured his neck on the field during a special teams play. And when I got to him, he was snoring. Um, by the time we got him off the field and out into the hospital, he had passed. Um, just, the C3 completely exploded. And I think along with that, so did my athletic trainer, fanny pack athletic trainerness go too. I really didn't give a shit about the athletic training stuff anymore. I think all of a sudden it became so much about life. Like, here was a teammate, and someone who's been a teammate for years. So I consider him a brother. And even his own brother was on our, like, it was just, in an arena football team, it's a small team. Um, and so we were just such close family, and it wrecked me. I wasn't prepared for that as an athletic trainer. So much so that, going through the whole depressive state, and it wasn't a healthy environment for me, because athletic training, as you know, is 24/7, 365 days a week. It's in season, off season, everything. And I need to step away. And so, going into the movie industry and getting the offer to travel around and do the movies was just this escape from athletic training, but an escape that it didn't allow me to leave the memory of what happened. And I think going through those years and finally realizing what that event means to me, and sharing it with the people that were around me. And it's that moment that I will never let anybody take that away from me. It's the crack that made me, to make me realize, like, this is, I'm not some human being having a soulful experience. I'm a soulful being having a very human experience.
Mhm.
And if I can share that version of mastery to people and remind them that you're a soul in a human's body, you're in a body that you will never own. You will never own this body, but you can take care of it. And you can take care of your headspace. You can take care of the people around you. You can take care of your vibrations. There's so much that we say that we're in control of, but like, how much of in the driver's seat are we really in? And then there's that whole Buddhist side of, like, right, wrong, I don't know. Good, bad, I don't know. Good things have turned to bad things. Bad things have turned to good things. I mean, I don't know. I trust that if I can show up every day and just do my best, do those cornerstones of success, like with enthusiasm and good work, comes success. And I think I've been enthusiastic about helping other people thrive. And And I've worked hard to continue to do it because it makes me thrive. I think, it's been a ride.
So with that crack, as you say, that experience that shook your world and caused you to have a course correction or change, do you do you ever think about, well, maybe, not that you turned your back on professional sports, but maybe, now where I am now, maybe I want to get back into that. Is that an area that you're considering?
Oh man, yes. I think I every time camp comes around, I have some of my friends that are still in the league, and they ask me, "Hey, you want to come and do camp?" Like, there's no way. I'm like, this is I would, but I say that just because of time, energy, and who I'd be disappointing and all of the responsibilities. But I'll tell you what, Rocky, man, I would love to crawl back into that skin of that little kid, and with all that energy and all that. I mean, I wasn't going to let any other little student athletic trainer, outrun me or outwork me. I had so much fun. I learned so much about myself during that time that, I would love to go back and feel it all again. But I'm sure by day 3 of mixing Gatorade and taping ankles, I'd be like, I'm out of this. Forget it. Screw this. So
So I know that over the course of my longevity in movement and conditioning, and I don't even have a great label to throw out there because there's so many different aspects of it. But in what I do, I have had to unlearn things that I learned early in my path that I held on to as truths. But then as I learn more and get a better understanding of how the body moves, I've had to let go of those perceived truths because they really weren't truths. They were just what I labeled as truths, if that makes
mhm.
sense. I'm just curious, like, have you experienced the same thing as you're learning all these different aspects of movements, and assessments? Are there things that you're just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I was holding on to that. I'm ready to let that go.
Yes, I think I think there's a part of the evolution of the training where you're looking at everything on the outside and you're saying, oh man, I want to be cool like that, I want to be able to do that. And I think in today's day and age with social media, it's so easy to just want to continue to do what's hot and what's out there. Gray has that one saying I think I love. It's not me, not his, but the methods are many but the principles are few. um it's That's with everything. It's so true. It's like there's so many ways to do it, but there's certain principles of movement that ring true regardless. Like creating some proximal stability for distal mobility. I think that'll reign true. I think a little bit of movement every day keeps the doctor away. It's like it's those little nuggets that I really need to keep it simple. like what spending time with people and trying to relay information. Man, I used to think that I used to, oh, I got to get this out. This is my progression 1. They have to learn all of these steps, the 7 basic patterns. It's all of these X's and Y's of you got to get all these things out of the way. And then once they graduate and they know how to, foam roll properly, then you can, I'm all for that. That was great stuff in the beginning. But then I realized like now they're just entering my world. Like I get it. The principle is as long as I keep showing up as my wholehearted, authentic self, and those people admire what it is that I can do or what it is I do and set an example, then I give them permission to step into the same light. And I think that is the true gift in the training. That's the principle behind it, that I can hold space of strength and respect for the body and movement for myself. And as I practice it and teach, these people are also, you know, stepping into that for themselves, but they see me to do it first. Before that whole side of like telling people they need to do this, then you need to do that word. You need, every single time I say it to myself, I gag. You need to get this. You need to get. Bitch, you don't need to do anything really. But if you want something and you want that, and then there are better ways to do it.
I see, this is the stuff that I actually dig, is word selection, because every word has a power to it. It has an intention to it. And over the course of so many years, in bringing awareness to that, the way in which you try to communicate and share information and ideas thoroughly transforms. As simple as when you have somebody on the floor, I want you to roll over to your side, or I want you to flip to your side. That may seem kind of basic, but rolling refers to something that's round, flipping refers to something that's more flat or thin. And this was years ago, but I'm not going to tell somebody that, hey, fat ass, I would need you to roll over on your side, right? No. I always use
make like a beached whale and get onto your belly.
Oh my gosh. But those are just examples, like want or need. Yeah. Or what I love is the question, can you experience? Can you bring some awareness? Like, can you do this? And if you can't, that's not a big deal, but we're going to try and get you to the point where you can. It's not like, I need you to do this. That's a demand. I love asking questions to the client and to the body. Interview them constantly, because with questions comes answers and information.
Well,
With demands, there's nothing.
The magic word. I don't want to pass the word that you just said. I mean, well, everything. It is all awareness, Rocky. You said the word awareness. You said it. It is. Really, as a coach, the only thing I can do is provide awareness, meaning I make you aware of what's better or worse. I can make you aware of what's, in an exercise, the best way to feel this, depending on how you're using the exercise, and just make you aware of what you should feel, what you shouldn't feel. The rest is up to that person. Is that, they, now that they're aware of right or wrong or better or worse, they now have choice. I can eat this broccoli, or I can have these fries. I am aware that the broccoli now will get me to my goal faster, but that's just awareness that your continued choice of better, that's called integrity, right? So the awareness piece of coaching is the one true nugget you can actually give someone, depending on all the SFMAs and FMSs. And so you say that, yes, where has training taken me? I'm sorry it's taken me this long to get back to this loop.
No.
But yeah, I as much digging into the body as I've gotten to, I now realize that, thank God for the life coaching classes and lessons I've learned from, my life coach, Andrea Lita, who, just has nothing but held space, and whatever she's done for me, it's like someone who's taught me an exercise. I go around and teach it to somebody else. That's how it's worked. And it just so happened that, I've done it with so much with my own clients. I feel like, man, I'm not too bad at this tapping into the emotion and getting people to cry thing. Yeah, getting people to cry thing too. Crack them a little bit, get to their human side, and then you become so close. Shit, I've shared so many tears with my clients, and that's a spiritual thing. So you say, what have I gotten into lately? I've gotten into, more Buddhism, reading about the, Bodhisattva and Hindu and all that stuff lately. Just, we're all in this journey of going within, reminding people about how great they are, really. You're going to be all that stuff. So that's where I'm at now.
That's very cool. It actually reminds me of when my son was a bit younger, and he had a goal of becoming a black belt in karate. And he started when he was about 5 years old. And he had a sensei who has been doing this for decades and decades. And he was so many degrees black belt. But at the end, when he reached that goal, he was handed his belt by his sensei, but the sensei's belt was so worn after decades of wearing the same gi belt that
Mhm.
black belt had faded so much that it looked like a white belt. And I froze in that moment in time going, that is it. Like our journey of learning started with some very basic things. And then we
Mhm.
explored fragments and tangents and followed the rabbits down all these holes to go into such in-depth and critical thinking and understanding. But in the end, it comes right back around to the basics once again, whether it's communication, can the body do this? Can it bring awareness
Mhm.
to this? How we get
Mhm.
there, I mean, we can follow any myriad of numbers of paths, but it all brings us right back around. But we have to take that journey as professionals, at least I feel that way. We have to go through all of that to gain the understanding that in karate, it all comes down to punch, block, kick,
Mhm.
right? That's what you learn when
Mhm.
you're a white belt. And then
Mhm.
you learn all this stuff, and then it
You're all
eventually
back
comes
here.
back around.
You're right
I
there.
love
You're
that.
exactly right. You're exactly right. You know,
So
you
go ahead.
no, it was those interviews, right? It's like even the professionals out there, whether it's basketball or baseball, they still do the very basics best, because you're when all things come down to it, the basics really do are the things that you'll always have to fall back on. So I think the basics of humanity, just being able to communicate, being able to be trustworthy that you're going to be there, being able to show that you're one that's willing to put in the hard work and willing to sit with someone in their shittiest times. I mean, that's tough stuff as a coach, but those are the basics. And a lot of times it's like people are already complaining about the basics. It's like you don't step in anything else if you're not willing to just sit there and listen to people, bitch and moan or whatever. I mean, people are going to be in shitty times. Like, people are people, and this is a people industry, and yeah, you can't expect relationships and all that stuff. You got to be good at that stuff first. And I feel like, if anything, when you talk about basics and coming around full circle, if you don't come back around to that same heart that said, I want to try and learn something so I can help people, if you don't come back to that same heart that brought you there in the first place, then I don't know what the hell you're doing in this industry.
Yeah, does your path have heart? There's a cool
Mm-hmm.
little story about that. I'd love to pull it up or send it to you, but that's it. And that's the question you have to ask yourself: does your path have heart?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so Perform Better. You've been speaking for Chris and Perform Better for a number of years. How many years is this now? Over
I think
10?
my first, no, not, no. I don't think 10. What are we in, 2022?
2022. Yeah.
2022. My first one was 2014, I believe.
Okay.
2013 or 14.
You're coming up on it though, man.
Yeah, coming up on it.
All right.
Yeah,
And
and it's been a good run. My first
yeah.
talk, the first talk I talked about was core and connection, and it was all going to be tied in about motor control and how we need to take more time for our muscles to actually connect to the right muscles, as far as um, underactive muscles or sequencing. And right before going through it, I was like, man, I'm not a core guy. I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm just talking about this just because it's on my plate, and it's fresh on my SFMA head. And I was going to talk about quadrants and then, just like 90-second interval times. And I was like, this is the most boring talk I've ever been to, because I'm just trying to hold an SFMA lecture, and it's not even what I'm about. And then, one person asked me, so what the hell are you about? I'm like, I'm the guy that's going to go up there and remind you that, everybody that you're training has a life, and you got to love them. I'm the one that wants you to know that every training session is a chance to make your client feel. I mean, they're going to forget what you say. They're going to forget what you did. They're never going to remember. They're never going to forget how you made them feel. And so talk about that. I said, that's still connection. It's just connection to, clients. And that's kind of been the theme of it. It's like, how do we really connect to our clients? Well, We connect to our clients through ourselves. You know, you got to be able, if you can't do it for yourself, you're not going to do it for anybody else. Just saying.
Well, you kind of beat me to the punch, because I was going to say, okay, that was your first talk. And now by the time this podcast airs, you will have presented at the Perform Better Chicago Summit. And
Yes.
I was going to ask you what you're going to be talking about, but it sounds like you already covered that right there.
Yeah.
Connecting with clients.
Yeah. So it's about, I talk about the craftsman mindset, the concept of there really isn't, you're you know, the concept of being by doing, right? I'm a great strength coach, but I must coach strength. Right? The people who are sitting there worried about, what they're doing on their Instagram and all this stuff versus actually getting in there and getting the work done and working for someone and, blood, sweat, and tears until, all right, I don't like it here anymore. I'm not there. I've reached my point to go to someone else. But if you're not willing to actually do the work and start to realize what are the things that you love, what are the things you don't love, what are the things who are the people you like. I mean, shit, I'm speaking at Perform Better, not because of the topic, but man, I fell in love with the people. And we were just talking about how great Chris is. And I mean, man, it's just this family of people has just been something to come back to. Like, I do it for the people, So
Yeah.
it's whatever it brings. It is. There's this journey of doing. I feel like I'm someone that just loves to hang out and talk to my fellow peeps that love, movement and coaching. And so that's right here with Perform Better. Wherever you are, the moment you feel yourself just kind of like liven up, spend more time with those people, spend more time in that space until that energy goes away and it calls you to something else. But if you're not willing to actually listen to your emotions, the energy of your emotion, like, I'm happy. If you're going to work like this every day, you got to listen to that emotion,
I'm curious, with all the presenters there, who do you like to go listen to? And not to make one person better than the other, but your particular, your flair and flavor, who do you like to sit in and listen to?
I got to tell you, I can never stop. I love listening. There's always the greats. I love listening to Martin. Martin's always great, always fires me up. Greg Rose is absolutely one of my favorite speakers. In the SFMAs, just the way he articulates his brain is awesome to me. Gray, I mean, if you can't get a chuckle out of Gray's wisdom when he speaks, I don't know, man. That's just some good old fashioned redneck comedy right there, and you got to catch it. I love it all. I mean, maybe because I work in Jacksonville, the twang or something about it, but I just love listening to Gray talk. A lot of the science talks go way over my head, so I don't know, but it's the first person and this is a great story right here, Rocky. It was an NATA at an NATA symposium, and I was in my second year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Dr. David Tiberio was there, and he was speaking. He was there, big speaker.
Yeah.
And that was cool and all. And he was a cool guy. But then the speaker after him wasn't as well known, but and her name was Sue Falsone. And I come from the world of hey, let's chase the pain. You have a shoulder issue, let's take a look at the shoulder. We'll look at the uninvolved side first, then we'll look at the involved side. All of a sudden, Sue brings up this story about a pitcher who was coming to her with elbow issues, had no mechanism of injury around the elbow, never elbow problem before. And then she asked the audience, what did I do? And, everybody started answering all these elbow treatments and things like that. She's like, no, I need to find out first. It just so happened that this pitcher stubbed his toe, the night before, and didn't say anything to anybody, but it was his right toe, it was his push-off toe. And she had everybody stand up and said, now I want you to try and pitch without using your big toe. And oh my God, the different feel of everything. It was one of those moments that I was just like this just what's happening? Why are we dealing with a toe? And he's got an elbow issue. This is not happening. Like my world changed, man. Like this whole concept that brought me into here. And yeah, but so because of that.
That's so funny because David Tiberio is I mean, if you're talk foot and ankle connection all the way up the body, he's a great one to talk to. But just bypass that right to Sue, who, for the listening audience, she's the first female trainer for the LA Dodgers. And I think she was the first female trainer in Major League Baseball anyway. And so you can actually go back to the archives of the show and listen to a talk I had with Sue. But yeah, she's fabulous. I love how it wasn't a light bulb moment. It was a chandelier and your world got rocked. Well, I love those times.
It's just the story. I think it's one thing when someone tells me, oh, this is connected and the whole domino effect with this and this and this is great. But it was the story that hit me, right? It's the story of the actual client and the actual picture that made it so real. And I think that's so important for us to relay our information in that version, in that way, is through story. But because of her story, I always listen to Sue. I mean, she changed my world. I would love
and
to
she's
say
always changing.
She changed my world. Yeah.
Well, and then she's growing. I mean, with the dry needling stuff that she's doing and a whole bunch of other integrating Western and Eastern together. I mean, that's what we really need. She's very inspiring, and whether she's leading the way on that or as a part of the wave that's crashing upon our shores, it doesn't matter because it's happening nonetheless. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what's the most unlikely talk, similar to what you were just describing about Sue, but you go into one room and you expect you're going to be hearing about this, and then it's just not what you're expecting and it blows you away. Did you ever have one of those moments?
Yes, absolutely.
I would expect.
Yeah. This day and age, I still have a tough time. Like people say that hungry and humble thing. I have, going through it, it's like putting stuff out there, good stuff out there. And why would you I feel so awkward, doing that and putting it out in social media and stuff. And I love Don Saladino. I went into his last talk and I've just got this bad relationship with social media. I feel like and my daughter's 15 and I try keeping her just my attachment to social media isn't healthy. And but then I go to this session with Don because I love Don. I just want to, see him and support him. But then to hear him and his stories about what his platform has been able to do and change people and the courage that it's brought other people. It's all of a sudden that word superhero comes up, and it's like with great power comes great responsibility, right? It's just such a cheesy term, but I see what Don does. And as a brother, I admire it so much. And they say what you admire in others is a gift you have yourself. And that's resonance. If you have that same resonant energy, then you just have to do it. And I think I'm now in that space where I'm like, so what am I going to do that for? And what is that about? I'm at this brink of like, if I do show up, how do I want to show up there? And what is that going to be about? But Don's talk, Saladino's talk, is really made me start thinking about this. Not so much about, this is about getting likes and for what stupid, like who could this change? Whose life could this change? What is a positive spin on this that you don't know could really just save someone? You don't know that. And it's that energy that you put out there. And I just got to continue to remind myself of that, right? Like that's who I showed up as. That's why, it's the hope of being able to lift others. And God damn it, just because I'm not good at something doesn't mean I can't get better at that, right? And Don's talk was one of those talks where social media, fuck that. I went in, boom.
That's so cool because I was sitting in the same room with you. But it just shows you that one person will pick up on something and another person's completely on a different world. I don't know where I was. I didn't pick up on that. And I'm glad you bring it up, because it's just a great kind of a nice kind of tidbit to hold on to. You're right.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that, okay, how is this going to affect me and my direction, or so to speak? Like we're constantly kind of truing the compass, or we're just trying to navigate and orient in the direction we think. So what is your direction right now? Where are you going? Like, I don't really like asking people, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But we're in.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
We've both got 15 years old.
Let me plant the seeds right now. Okay. I love to say that I'm more of a Buddhist mentality now than anything, right? Like, let me live in the present moment. I can't worry so much about what's going to happen later or before, but let me stay here now where I'm at. As I sit into my present moment, I'm very disappointed at the governing bodies of certifications for fitness. We keep holding coaches to a standard of knowing science and body and exercises that we forget we're flawed at the fundamental. We're answering the wrong question. Yeah. We're saying, how do we make people stronger? By this exercise. That's not right. You make them stronger by making them realize that their strength is within. We've been so busy in an industry telling people that they're broken. Assess them so you can tell them about how broken they are. Then you're the way to fix them. And I doubt that that's how life really is. I think it's really about, like what you said before, it's awareness. I can be stronger, and I get to be stronger. Whether you choose to or not, and whether you choose to get a coach or not, that's your journey. A lot of people have to have falls, heart attacks, broken ACLs, or I don't know, whatever ends up pushing you to find out, okay, well, I'm gonna take care of my body. I have a kid now. I gotta take care of my body. My wife left me. I gotta get, what, I don't know, wherever you are, wherever you meet life at, you meet it at the present moment. But I'm so disappointed with how every single one of these associations can't take a continuing ed off of a emotional course, like some kind of like therapy, like it's like a life coach, like it's so. We're asking all these people who probably hated science earlier, willing to be a coach, want to help it. Like, how many NASM, initial coach things that I've taught, where we continue to say, oh, we need to teach the kinetic chain, we need to teach this and this and this, so that they can have a successful career coaching. Yet we already also tell them that 80% of you will be gone after this year. Like, we're not seeing what's actually missing is this. Hey, you got to learn how to become a friend to people. You actually have to be willing to go up and say hi to people and say, hey, this is what I do. Maybe I can help you out. Like, there is this part of doing and being a coach and being a friend to somebody that I want to certify. I want people to know that this is the piece that will actually help you become someone who everybody wants to be with all the time.
Yeah,
this is what
we're so hung up on evidence-based training, right? Evidence-based, but
where has it gotten us? Where has it gotten us?
It's gotten us to no, honestly. And while we're on this, we have more personal trainers, fitness professionals, nutritionists than ever before in the history of the United States, and yet we have the largest obesity population ever in the United States.
We're getting great with teaching
some
technique.
kind of leveling.
Yeah.
That's it.
The teaching of technique and all the exploration of where our governing bodies are asking us to go to certify more, so that everybody can have CEUs that go in, that work with, and like the bodies themselves, right? So where am I going, Rocky, in 5 years? I'm going to have my own. And I'm going to hold people to a different standard, and I'm going to call upon different people. And I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to overthink the exercises. I think I'm going to restructure. Instead of calling it work, I'm going to call it play. And we're going to, stop overthinking all the other stuff if everybody wants to do technique stuff, that's your world. That's cool. I want people who aren't even in it and that need a friend. And people who want to be friends, I want to give them a certification that they can actually achieve and know that, hey, it wasn't just some, whatever money you spent online and learned online to become this person for somebody and hold space with somebody. You're going to learn it by actually, doing the thing and hearing the stories, the real stories, right? Yeah, that's my thing.
Really
anyway. I say that now.
That's great.
Let's hope I keep the fire underneath me. The national strength dealing with a caring association, and the national strength and compassion of courage association. I don't know.
I keep on working it. It's going to hit because I honestly, I keep thinking that we are trying to deal with a spiritual malady with a physical cure. Mm-hmm. And it's really, if we can delve into the spiritual aspect of things, which you're mentioning here, there's so many other programs around that are helping people change their lives for the better, but there's a disconnect. And unfortunately, we really have to have a reconnect. And it's not just about how much can I lift, how well can I move, but what's driving me, right?
Yeah.
So okay, we're at the top of the hour here, and we could go on. I know we could
go on, Rocky. We could go on.
But you've got Perform Better.
10 minutes in.
We'll put definitely the links for Perform Better, because we've also got the Rhode Island Summit coming up in August, and you're going to be there with Geraldine Cooper-Smith, who's also been on this podcast. You can check back a few weeks ago when Geraldine was on here. But if people want to, or whether they're in the Southern California area or on that demonic social media, whatever you want to call it, where how can they find you? What's the way to reach out to Brian?
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Master Bri on Instagram. You take a stab at it. Obviously, if you have the same friends, I'll more than likely respond. My email is bnguyenatc@mac.com. My initial ATC for athletic trainer certified at mac.com. Reach out to me there. I'm, right now I'm so focused on just doing fatherhood.
Awesome.
And the clients, like my son's going to be 5 years old in 3 days, and my daughter's 15 years old, is 15 going on 21. It's an interesting home in Lasso, but I wouldn't trade it. So I'm heavily focused on fatherhood, but that's where you can find me. I'll be on my cell phone right there. But reach out, man. I love hearing from, whether it's the speakers that Perform Better through here. Definitely come to one of the talks, man. Come to Perform Better. It's just the best.
Right on. Brian, thank you so much. That's it.
Thanks, Rocky.
Well, that's a wrap for the Zealous Podcast this week. Thank you, Brian, for coming on. Wishing you all the best in your directions. And, of course, for those of you that want to catch Brian and a few other amazing presenters, be sure to check out Perform Better's training summits. The last one's in Providence, Rhode Island, in August, and there's still room for you. In the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Rocky_Snyder. Click the subscribe button, and while you're at it, share it with like 3 other friends. We'll see you next week.